Are there any questions for Dr. England?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Dillard.
Dr. England, and I know this may be a question that's kind of difficult to answer, but can you speak to something to this idea of herd immunity? I'm not sure that I've got a clear understanding of that, but I was kind of under the impression that a group would have to reach almost 60%. And really, what does herd immunity mean?
It's very germane to the situation we have now. We might get a vaccine, but I would be pleasantly surprised if we got one before 2 or 3 years from now. As a disease goes through the population, the most susceptible people are affected first. So we had a very high death rate initially. The people who were coming in the hospital were just dying in front of us. When they're gone, the second wave is going to get those next most susceptible. So the illness might not be quite as intense with that group, and so on as you go down through the different layers of the population, till you really have the hardcores who are just, it's hard for that disease to bring them down. So as your number of cases rise, and as it rises toward, some say 50, some say 70%, most I see are around 65%. Once you have about 2/3 of the population infected, then it becomes, there's less transmission going on because 2/3 of the people have some sort of resistance to it. We don't know how much, but have some sort of resistance. So it gets harder for the virus to pass itself between people. And at that point, the third of the population that has not been affected is now safer than they were back the year before. And so that's what's called herd immunity. That third has immunity by virtue of the fact that the herd or the population of people has 2/3 of immunity. So right about that point, it gets hard for that virus to transmit. And the virus depends on that transmission for survival. It's going to seek to transmit to a person as best it can. If it kills that person, it's not done a good job for itself. It wants to live within that person. So that's a concept of herd immunity.